Well, welcome to We Don't Color on the Dog. We've got with us school superintendent Keith Leonard. Keith, thank you for doing this morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm glad to be here, sir.
Well, last week we've got the year-end assessments in, which is a little bit overwhelming, because you can just look at the surface numbers, and the surface numbers were fine. I think we showed improvement across the board. Uh, but I do think that it's really the real meat of it is what you probably and your team have been doing is start to see, where the weaknesses are, and let's say where the opportunities are.
Right.
Talk
What
to me
we've
about
been
that.
doing is, this is, of course, preliminary data that will eventually lead to school grades. And like you and I talked about on the phone, that's what our citizenry is going to want to look at. That's what they're going to judge us by: A's, B's, and maybe a few C's here and there. Um, but what we really try to do with our data is make sure we're drilling down to the individual school, but most importantly, to that individual student, so that our teachers know, from day one, when we hit August 11th, what type of interventions is Keith going to need? What type of interventions and or learning strategies is Rick going to need?
Right.
Because that's really where you find your improvement, is with that academic strategies that you use with each individual student. Our teachers do a wonderful job making certain that they're working with each of those students.
Well, and that's sort of the beauty of this system, I think, in that you see where they start, you get a mid-season report, so you have some opportunity for the administration, the school principal, and staff and teachers to say, okay, these are the ones that we need to check on what's going on, and then the year end, and then it's got to be interesting to see following a kid from grade to grade too.
Yeah, it's really, really critical to look to see what a third grader did last school year, and then where they were in PM1 from this last school year. And then I love the fact that you used the word mid-season. Being an old football coach, that okay, that's halftime or
Right.
midway through the season. Where are we now? Where do we need to be? And what do we need to do to be where we need to be by the end of the year? And progress monitoring is really been beneficial here in our school district, because our students don't always start off exactly where some of the other school district students start off when they enter school. So seeing where we're able to get them to by the time they enter third grade, and then most importantly, keeping up longitudinally each and every grade level thereafter. Um, you saw the data just like I did, anywhere from, depending on the grade band, 2% improvement by the end of the year, to where I believe we had a couple of grade bands where we got up to around 8%, 9% improvement academically, which is huge here in the Escambia County public school system.
Well, and it's you know you're going to look at this, and I know you do, in that comparing this year's fourth grade to last year's fourth grade is okay, but you really need to know what that this year's fourth grade, what were they like as third graders.
Correct.
That's what we don't do a good job of.
No, and you're spot on, and that's really where we're working with a focused effort. Is saying, okay, where was Keith and Rick when they were in fourth grade? Where are they now at the end? We had them another year. What did we do to help them succeed in fifth grade? All right, now we got to have them prepared for sixth grade, and in sixth grade, some other things are going to begin to occur. And you know it as well as I do. One of our problem areas or places where we needed to improve was in middle school. Mm-hmm. And we really are seeing some significant gains with what our teachers and school administrators are doing in our middle schools. And I am so excited about that.
Yeah, that's been the Achilles heel. And over the years, I've looked at these numbers a lot. I'm kind of a numbers wonk, and just, watching, we haven't seen in the past, you could follow a third grade all the way through. And of course, it's not going to be exactly the same students. Things happen, people get added, and, but you watch, and sadly, at one time, you really didn't see much improvement in a class as it moved through the system. It kind of got fix whatever it was in third grade, it doesn't improve that much. This system seems to be better at tackling that, to where, because you can mask it by going grade to grade without really looking at what's going with this cohort of kids.
Yeah. With statistics, you know this. If you're the numbers guy, you know it better than I. With statistics, you can mask a lot of things. And
Right.
I'm not into masking. I don't believe our school district is. What we want to be able to do is put out there the real data, show where we're improving, also talk about where we have our deficiencies,
Mm-hmm.
and then don't just talk about it, say what we're going to do to try to alleviate those deficiencies and how we're going to do it. And giving kids opportunities is how you do that, getting them engaged and really enjoying being at school
Right.
makes a huge difference. There was one thing that you said that I wanted to make sure I kind of expound upon. I do, and I think our school district has really embraced progress monitoring. There is one kind of tidbit that most people don't understand as it relates to that final test. It's a branch test. So you and I could both be in fifth grade, but we're not necessarily going to take the exact same test, because as you answer questions, let's say questions 1 through 10, you're able to answer and you answer them correctly. Well, by the time you get to question 11, you may be on a very different level question
Okay.
than I'm on, because in my first 10 questions, I missed the correct answer for number 3 and number 7. So by the time I got question 8, they dropped that next question. Question 8 was dropped down to another tier. It may have went down to a level 2 question. So you and I and the other, 1,500 kids in third grade are not taking necessarily the same test, but we're all going to end up with a score at the end that's going to rate us a level 1, a level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. So most people don't understand that about the branch testing. But as far as the work that you do at the onset of entering fifth grade, then you get to that mid-season test.
Right.
Where are you? And then what are we going to be able to do until we get right there into the mid-April, early May, to be able to get you the strategies you need to show that you have made learning gains and you are ready to be a sixth grader the next year. You are on level. And that is one of the things that I've been really impressed with, is the number of students, or the percentage of students
Right.
we've been able to get to level 3, because that has not always happened.
Right. That's been a real struggle. Do you think, and as we're talking, Keith, I'm thinking that one of the strengths of having your position appointed is you don't quite have to worry about the politics as much. Because I think there's some pressure on elected superintendents, having watched them, is that they've got to kind of they've got to put a little bit rosier glasses on things, because they've got an election coming up in 3 or 4 years. What are your thoughts on that?
For me, I am all about making our students the best students they can be.
Mhm.
I don't know how other people would react. I think you've met me a couple of times, so you know I'm not too worried about anything as far as it relates to politics. I'm
Right.
worried about giving kids opportunities. In fact, I told our board this not too long ago. I wouldn't approach it any differently, but I do understand the politics of being in an elected position.
Right.
Because you always want to be able to get more votes than the person you're running against if you want to be able to stay in your position. So I do understand that cosmic reality of elected versus appointed. I don't believe I would react any differently, or at least I hope I wouldn't, but I do understand that. So there are pluses to just being able to worry about what I worry about,
Right.
and that is teachers and staff and students
Mhm.
day in and day out.
Right. We're going into the new school year is just 5, maybe 6 weeks away.
August the 11th.
Yeah, so it's
Anybody's counting. Kids will be back.
right on top of us. What are some of the innovations that are coming in this year? I know uh, you've been great. Y'all have given us a lot of access, Keith, and I appreciate it. We've looked at middle schools together. We've talked about the challenges of looking at treating, looking at going, K or PK, pre-K all the way to eighth grade. You've looked at a lot of things. What's on the plan for this year?
Okay. So, this past school year, we added sixth grade at Cordova Park,
right,
and at West Pensacola. You being a numbers guy, I would ask you to look and see how those sixth graders at Cordova Park and West Pensacola performed academically. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. This upcoming year, beginning August 11th, they will be sixth graders at Longleaf Elementary School. So that'll be our first foray into adding sixth grade there this coming school year. The following year, we will add seventh grade. And then the year after that, there will be eighth grade. So Longleaf will be our first full-fledged K-8. It has the amenities. It has the space. The Pine Forest High School is right next door, so there's all types of outdoor spaces. There is a gym there. They're getting ready to build a new gym and make the old gym into a gymatorium, if that is such a word. And then also during this school year, we're going to partner with two very in close proximity elementary and middle school. So Karo, Helen Karo Elementary and Jim Bailey will work to infuse all of their students, even though they'll still be unique schools, they're going to work. It's kind of like the old days. And, I can speak for myself. I'm an older guy. Our elementary schools and middle schools, they worked in partnership. When you were in fourth grade, you went to the middle school for the math competition or the spelling bee, whatever it may have been. High school students would come down to the elementary and middle schools. We're starting to do that at Escambia with the Myrtle Grove elementary students. They're mentoring and tutoring and providing opportunities for those students. So that's going to be happening this upcoming school year. And then I probably will have the Pensacola High School administration and founding team members of what we're hoping to be able to accomplish at Pensacola High School come to our school board meeting in either September or October, somewhere in that time frame, to tell us where they are in hopes of building a middle school program for academically talented students that would actually lead you straight into the International Baccalaureate program at Pensacola High School. Really, really excited about where that might take us. It builds a continuity between middle school students that really have that high achieving academic mindset and want to be able to go to the International Baccalaureate program, which is, a gym in our school district and has been for many years. So those are the things currently that are in the process of occurring for this school year. And there'll be many other things that we talk about with our school board as we enter into this school year and getting ready for 26, 27 as well.
Well, and it's, it's a different world in public education, particularly in Florida. You're competing for students.
Yes, sir.
Gosh, when we had that little small Saturday town hall, parents meeting, at the beginning of the year, we are honestly competing for students and that's healthy, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It's healthy. And you remember, we had a couple of our young students that came to that town hall. And I really want to impress upon those individuals that watch your show, our responsibility, your responsibility, my responsibility, all of us, is to make certain there's an Escambia County public school system when those two young men that came to that meeting, when their parents and their kids enter school. Right. That's what the public school system is about. And we're not afraid to compete. We're ready to compete. And we're going to show people we can compete. I believe those 35,652 students that will enroll on August 11th are going to get an education second to none right here at home.
Great. Keith, thank you so much. Have a great 4th.
You as well, sir.
All right. Take care.
You as well. Take care.
And you see, we're just a friend. heard about that. Hey.